Good evening. This is the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and tonight we focus on the big match in the World Cup that happens tomorrow, India versus South Africa. Can the men in blue beat the mighty Proteas? We'll be asking that question to a special guest a little later in the bulletin. But first up, the headlines we're tracking tonight. The journalist accused of corporate espionage alleges cover-up of a multi-crore scam. Home Minister assures strict action against those involved in the racket. The BJP and the PDP inch closer to a deal to form the government in Jammu and Kashmir. Contentious issues like Article 370 and AFSPA discussed. Formal announcement likely next week. Mamata Banerjee assures Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of resolving the Teesta River issue soon. Also hopes Parliament will ratify land boundary agreement in the upcoming session. India to take on South Africa in their second match tomorrow at Melbourne. Virat Kohli claims it'll be a contest between Indian batsmen and South African bowlers. And Greece gets a reprieve as Eurozone allows 4-month extension for bailout. Greece to announce reform measures by Monday. A top story this evening, the oil ministry espionage scandal is only getting murkier. With fresh allegations of it being a 10,000 crore rupee scam, it seems many other skeletons could soon tumble out of the closet. Now, the leaked documents belong not only to the Petroleum Ministry, but there were also some that related to the Power and Coal Ministries and also the Prime Minister's office as well.
It's a 10,000 crore scam. You know, I was trying to do a cover-up.
Energy consultant Shantanu Saikia making some serious allegations. Saikia has claimed that the entire episode is a 10,000 crore rupee scam and that he was merely doing a cover-up.
It's a 10,000 crore scam. You know, I was trying to do a cover-up.
Saikia, who was arrested by the Delhi police, has been accused of stealing documents from the ministry and leaking them to corporate houses.
जो गुनहगार है वो तिलमिला के कुछ तो कुछ उनको कहना पड़ेगा. सब पुलिस की प्रक्रिया के अंदर इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रही है. उसके सामने सारा विषय उजागर हो जाएगी. दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगी. कोई भी व्यक्ति हो जो कानून के अंदर रहेगा वो सही होगा. जो कानून को अपने हाथ में लेना चाहेगा कानून वहां तक पहुंचेगी.
Saikia's comments come 2 days after the police arrested 5 people, 2 Petroleum Ministry employees and 3 others in the case. With 7 more arrests on Friday, the total number of those held is up to 12. According to the police complaint, the stolen documents included inputs for the Union Budget 2015 and a letter concerning the Prime Minister's office. The police told the court that the documents recovered from the 5 corporate executives are related to the national security aspect and charges under the Official Secrets Act might also be invoked in the matter.
डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो है चोरी किए गए. डॉक्यूमेंट चोरी करने के बाद में आगे बेचे गए. उनको जो उनके रेसिपिएंट्स हैं, यानी कि आप समझ लें कि चोरी के माल को खरीदने वाले जो हैं रिसीवर ऑफ स्टोलन प्रॉपर्टीज, उनको भी हमने अब जो है काबू में कर लिया है. इनसे अब हमारी बातचीत चल रही है. हम इनसे पूछताछ कर रहे हैं और पूछताछ में जो भी आगे काबिले एक्शन खबर होगी उस पर एक्शन लिया जाएगा.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh has said no guilty person would be spared. He also said the government should be commended for unearthing the scandal.
मैं समझता हूं कि इस बात की सराहना की जानी चाहिए कि कम से कम जो लंबे समय से ये चल रहा था इसका खुलासा तो किया है. यदि हम सजग न होते, इस मामले में सचेत न होते, तो मैं समझता हूं कि इसका भी खुलासा न होगा. दोषी हैं वो बख्शे नहीं जाएंगे.
The alleged pilfering of documents, which was thought to have been a racket confined to the Petroleum Ministry, actually covered matters in finance, coal and power ministries as well. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The BJP and the PDP are inching towards forming a government in Jammu and Kashmir months after the assembly elections. According to sources, the deal is almost done between the two parties. PDP patron Mufti Mohammad Saeed is likely to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi to seal the deal early next week.
Jammu and Kashmir is all set to have a BJP-PDP coalition government. The two parties are believed to have firmed up a carefully drafted common minimum program touching all controversial issues like Article 370 and the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Sources say the status quo is likely to continue on both controversial issues as of now. The two parties said that talks are now in the final stages, but none of the sides clarified when a final announcement will be made.
हम दोनों पार्टियां सिंसियरली प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि हम मुद्दों पर सहमति बना पाए, पर अभी भी एक आध मुद्दा ऐसा है जिस पर सहमति बनाना पूर्ण रूप से संभव नहीं हो पाया। इसलिए इसका जो समय लगेगा वो समय लगेगा। हम प्रयासरत है कि जल्दी एक सहमति पर पहुंचकर विषय को आगे ले जाए।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की जो कोर ग्रुप की टीम है ये दिल्ली गई थी, अपने शीर्ष नेतृत्व जो हमारा है उनसे मिली है, विचार विमर्श किया है। आने वाले दिनों में जिन मुद्दों पर चर्चा चल रही है वो चर्चा कैसे आगे बढ़े और वो मुद्दे जो हैं वो कैसे सुलझें। अब आगे निर्णय लेना जो है वो केंद्र का दायित्व है, वो जो निर्णय लेंगे वो हमें स्वीकार होगा।
Talks are continuing. They have reached an advanced stage. There has been significant progress, but there are some issues, I emphasize some issues, on which some more effort is to be needed, and only after that the CMP will be final.
However, the Congress party is skeptical about the coming together of the old allies. The party questioned the very basis of the alliance.
Two political parties are, opposites. The mandate that they got in respective places, they're very different mandates. Once the government is formed, how will it run on a day-to-day basis? And RSS is interfering already, so I think it looks like I'm not very optimistic anymore.
According to sources, PDP will have the Chief Minister's post for the full term. PDP patriarch Mufti Mohammad Saeed is likely to return as the Chief Minister of the state after almost a decade. BJP may get the Deputy Chief Minister's post, which is expected to be given to state BJP leader Nirmal Singh. According to reports, efforts from both sides are afoot to have a government in place in the state before the parliament session begins on February 23rd. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to Bihar now, where Nitish Kumar will return as the Chief Minister of the state for a fourth time when he takes the oath of office on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Speaker of Bihar rejected allegations by former Chief Minister Jitendra Manjhi that he'd been biased towards the Nitish faction during the political crisis. After stepping down, Manjhi is ruled out joining the BJP, though, ahead of the assembly polls.
पूरे बिहार वासियों से मैं क्षमा मांगता हूं कि भाई मुझसे गलती हुई, माफ कर दीजिए। अब हम फिर कभी इस तरह के भावना में आकर कोई काम नहीं करेंगे। मैं इतना लोगों को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं।
In a stark reminder to what Kejriwal did during the Delhi poll campaigns, Nitish Kumar apologized to the people of Bihar for stepping down last year as the Chief Minister. He will take oath for the top job for a fourth time on Sunday. He had the backing of RJD, Congress and CPI. However, these parties have not taken a final call whether to join the Nitish government. They all gathered at Nitish residence on Saturday for lunch after the floor test victory.
बिहार की गाड़ी को पटरी पर लाने वाले नीतीश कुमार एक अंतराल के बाद अपनी जिम्मेवारी संभालने जा रहे हैं। यह बिहार के लिए न केवल खुशी की बात है बल्कि गर्व की बात है।
Jitendra Manjhi will be among those who are expected to attend the swearing-in ceremony on Sunday. Manjhi congratulated Nitish Kumar on his victory, but BJP and LJP slammed Nitish Kumar and his party for allegedly insulting Manjhi.
नीतीश कुमार ने जीतनराम मांझी का अपमान नहीं किया, बल्कि पूरे बिहार के दलितों के साथ अपमान किया है, खिलवाड़ किया है, उनकी भावना को ठेस पहुंचाया है।
नीतीश जी एक महादलित होने की वजह से मांझी जी को इतना अपमानित किया, उन्होंने इतना उनको बेइज्जत किया, यहाँ तक कि उनको अपमानित कर करके मुख्यमंत्री के पद से उनको हटा दिया, उनको इतना ह्यूमिलेट किया गया कि उनको इस्तीफा तक देना पड़ा। तो कहीं ना कहीं ये दर्शाता है कि भैया आपकी कथनी करनी में फर्क है।
Meanwhile, Manjhi and his supporters will meet on 28th of February to decide their future course of action. He has so far ruled out joining BJP after his expulsion from JDU. He also took a dig at the speaker on the way he handled the political crisis while explaining the reasons why he quit.
चीफ व्हिप का मनोनयन के लिए अनुशंसा मुख्यमंत्री से होता है। जब हम मुख्यमंत्री हैं अभी और उनको हटा दिया, हम दे दिया था राजीव रंजन जी को, तो उसकी मान्यता उन्होंने क्यों नहीं दी? किसके कहने पर फिर श्रवण कुमार को उन्होंने मान्यता दे दी? एक बात, किसके कहने पर, किसके द्वारा रिजोल्यूशन देने पर नीतीश कुमार जी को सदन नेता विधानसभा का उन्होंने डिक्लेयर किया था, जिसको कोर्ट में मना कर दिया। तो ये सब गैर कानूनी काम वो कर रहे हैं।
However, Bihar Speaker Uday Narayan Chaudhary rejected Manjhi's allegations that he was biased towards Nitish Kumar and his faction. Chaudhary claimed that he took all decisions according to the rules. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee today assured Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of a positive role in resolving outstanding Teesta River issue to protect the interests of both sides. In a meeting with the Prime Minister at official residence in Dhaka, Banerjee also informed Hasina that she expected the Parliament to ratify the land boundary agreement in the upcoming budget session. Bangladesh and India were set to ink the Teesta agreement during the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's 2011 visit, but Banerjee opted out of his entourage at the last minute, opposing the treaty, delaying the deal. The Teesta, which originates in Sikkim, flows through the northern part of West Bengal before entering Bangladesh and joining the Brahmaputra. Its flow is crucial for Bangladesh in the dry period from December to March, when the water level often falls to less than 1,000 cusecs.
যখন ল্যান্ড ডিসপিউট শর্ট আউট হয়েছে, তিস্তাতেও আস্থা রাখুন, সবাই মিলে কথা বলে বাংলার যে সমস্যা আছে কিছু সেটা আমরা সমাধান করব। আপনাদেরও কিছু প্রবলেম আছে, আমি বুঝি সেটা, আপনাদেরও জল চাই, জলের প্রবলেম আছে, আমাদেরও কিছু প্রবলেম আছে, কারণ শুকিয়েছে, অনেকটা ব্যাপার আছে।
Now, with an estimated 400 acid attack cases registered every month across the country, that's a shocking number, the government will soon fix a time frame for investigating and trial of such cases to ensure maximum punishment to the guilty. Addressing a seminar on empowering acid attack survivors, Home Minister Rajnath Singh said his ministry is working for suitable amendments to the CRPC in this regard. As per the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, a person convicted for acid attacks is sentenced to imprisonment for 10 years or life. The Home Ministry had earlier said that all such cases where maximum punishment of life imprisonment or death sentence is possible will be categorized as heinous crimes.
हमारी मिनिस्ट्री ने यह भी फैसला किया है कि हम इस एक्ट के तहत केवल जो विक्टिम्स होंगे एसिड अटैक के, उनको हम सहायता दें, कंपनसेशन दें, उनका मुफ्त इलाज कराएं। इतना ही नहीं है, बल्कि जो इसके अपराधी हैं उनको कम से कम 10 साल की सजा मिलनी चाहिए, कम से कम 10 साल की सजा होनी चाहिए।
The number of deaths due to swine flu continues to rise in the country, with 31 more people succumbing to the disease. The death toll has now gone up to 774. The total number of people affected is near the 13,000 mark. 57 new cases have been detected in Uttar Pradesh in the past 24 hours, taking the total number of infected people to 250. In Rajasthan, the death toll has reached 206 and 4 more deaths were reported from the state, while 3 deaths have been reported from neighbouring Himachal Pradesh. In Kashmir as well, 13 more people have tested positive for the virus. Amid the surge in cases, Union Health Minister JP Nadda today said that the government is taking all necessary steps to deal with the outbreak. He added that there is no dearth of medicines and all district hospitals are equipped to deal with the situation.
दवाई की कोई कमी नहीं है, टेस्टिंग की कोई कमी नहीं है, डॉक्टर्स की ट्रेनिंग हो रखी है और सभी डॉक्टर्स की ट्रेनिंग के साथ साथ कोई भी ऐसा पेशेंट आता है तो उसको हम देखने के लिए तैयार हैं।
The time now to get you more national news and updates in Nationwide. 2 terrorists were killed today in an encounter with security forces in Kashmir's Baramulla district. Security forces were conducting a search operation after receiving information about the presence of militants. The terrorists were reportedly active in the area for a long time. The encounter carried on for about 2 hours. Veteran communist leader Govind Pansare was cremated at his hometown Kolhapur today. He died of gunshot injuries in Mumbai last night. He was shot by unidentified persons near his house in Kolhapur on Monday. CPI continued its protest in Maharashtra against Pansare's killing. Kerala leader of opposition and veteran CPIM leader V.S. Achyutanandan walked out of his party's 3-day state conference in Alapi district. According to the sources, the veteran leader was miffed by severe criticism levelled against him by party members. Achyutanandan is said to have given a clear dictate to his party that he would return to the state conference only if a resolution criticising him is rejected. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj launched an online web portal named Madad at the MEA headquarters today. The portal will address complaints filed online by Indian citizens living abroad with high degree of accountability. The chief characteristics of Madad, the website, are to speed up forwarding and handling of complaints, improve tracking and redressal, and escalate unresolved cases. Well, time for a very quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, we'll be talking about India's second match of the World Cup with the mighty South Africans. Who has a better chance? Jaideep Ghosh, our special guest, will be telling us more on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now on to some cricket now, and after pulling off a big win against Pakistan, India now faces an even bigger test tomorrow. India will take on South Africa at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Although the morale must be sky high after beating the arch rivals, the odds favouring the team aren't though. In fact, South Africa has won all the 3 World Cup encounters against India. Indian Vice-Captain Virat Kohli, though, said that the key battle will be more between the Indian batsmen and the South African bowlers. And senior sports journalist Jaideep Ghosh joins us to tell us, Jaideep, who has a better chance? Can India take on South Africa? I mean, we've never beaten them in the World Cup. That was our claim against Pakistan, that Pakistan has never beaten India, so therefore we might win. What about the South Africans? We've never beaten them.
Well, I think stats are basically history, so you shouldn't be really too bothered about those. On a new day, on a new game, anybody can win. Depends on a lot of things, of course. Right now, I think in sheer form, I think a couple of South African batsmen are in phenomenal shape, especially Amla and David de Villiers. So whatever Virat Kohli is saying regarding how it's going to be a battle between their bowlers and Indian batsmen, it's equally going to be a test for the Indian bowlers who haven't really done very well in any of the matches recently in Australia or for a long time now. So ideally, I would like to say that as an Indian, yeah, India should win, but if you want to really put the money where the mouth is, I think South Africa has a better edge.
All right, you talked about the battle of the batsmen, and it's AB de Villiers on one side and Virat Kohli on the other. But in terms of batting lineups, I mean, India has always been famed for having excellent batting lineups, so the South Africans aren't too shabby, as you were just mentioning.
Yeah, see, the thing is that the South African role is a little different because they don't want to, fill their entire 11 with batsmen. They'll go in with 4 or 5 batsmen who have their briefs very specifically cut out that they have to go in and utilize the 50 overs and score rapidly. And as you've already realized in this World Cup that 300 is not a total that is always safe because it seems that every pitch, that is all these new drop-down pitches in Australia and in New Zealand, I mean 300 is a par score. So obviously you will have to either score a huge amount of runs, maybe 330, 340, or you'll have to cut the South African batting down to less than 300. Both of them are very difficult jobs, but then again, that's the whole deal. I mean, if you're going to have so many batsmen in the lineup, then you're expecting them to go and score 330. Even the match against Pakistan, I thought we were 25 runs less than where we should have been at the end of 50 overs.
Absolutely. But if you talk about the bowling, you already mentioned this, that the Indian bowling isn't that good. And compared to the likes of Stein, I mean, the pace has really been missing. The fact that we have our spearheads not really playing this in this match, how bad could that be for the Indian team's chances?
Well, I think we'll be fooling ourselves if we think that our fast bowlers are going to win the match for us. They can be at best, very restrictive. Their job will be to, minimize the number of runs that they concede. I think crucially, Ravichandran Ashwin's 10 overs should be vital because he bowled really well against Pakistan. And if he can cut it down and keep it under 5 for those 10 overs, I mean, in this kind of match, high-scoring matches, even a spell of 5 good overs can be, the difference between winning and losing. So our spinners, Ashwin and I'm assuming Jadeja will also be playing. Between them, we'll have to keep it down to something manageable so that even if the fast bowlers go for too many runs, we can, look at a total which is chaseable because if it goes beyond 320, 325, then it becomes a really difficult job.
All right, just Jaideep, reading from what happened in the previous match, I mean, the captaincy of Mahendra Singh Dhoni was quite aggressive against Pakistan. I mean, there were slips right into the later overs as well. So in terms of captaincy, do we see Captain Cool or Captain Courageous, as he's often called, especially after the 2011 win, but do we see him do something exceptional or special tomorrow? Can we expect him to pull a cat out of the bag?
Well, that essentially depends on how the match is going. I mean, against Pakistan, obviously, since Pakistan was on the back foot right from the beginning, so he could attack a little more. But knowing the way the South Africans bat right from the top, it might not be the same thing because you cannot possibly have a close-in fielding, circle against the South African batsmen, De Villiers and all, they might get out quickly, but whatever time they're going to stay on the pitch, they're going to try and attack the bowling. So there'll be no question of, having an attacking field. But yeah, you have to play it smart. You have to, then again, depend on your bowlers to deliver for whatever field you're setting. You cannot set a field for bad bowling. You can only set it for good bowling and expect them to follow those lines.
All right, in terms of confidence, in terms of team bonding, does the Indian team look like it's bonded well? Because there were a lot of controversies that the team went into this tournament with, a lot of players involved in the controversies. So do you think all that's been put behind?
I think a match against Pakistan takes care of all kinds of problems for India everywhere, across the board. India plays 2 World Cups. One is when they have to play Pakistan and one is the rest of the World Cup.
Right.
So the first one has been taken care of, and that I think mentally is a huge relief for all concerned. So obviously that reflects on the confidence also. But South Africa I think is a different kettle of fish altogether. So we need to forget what has happened and just focus on the match tomorrow.
All right, very quickly, final question. 2 players to watch out for from both sides.
AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli.
All right, so the battle of the big batsmen in this World Cup. Thanks very much, Jaideep, for coming in and helping us understand what could happen tomorrow. Let's hope that for our sakes, India wins tomorrow. But thanks very much for that. All right, moving on now to the West Indies, who notched their first win of the World Cup, crushing Pakistan by 150 runs at Christchurch today. West Indies posted a total of 310 runs, with 115 coming in just the last 10 overs. Lendl Simmons and Darren Sammy scored half centuries, while Andre Russell made a quick-fire 42 of just 13 balls. Pakistan, in reply, had the worst start to an innings in World Cup history. They were reduced to just 1 for 4. Shoaib Maqsood and Umar Akmal tried to revive Pakistan's batting with an 80-run partnership, but it could not avoid the humiliation. Pakistan was bowled out for 160 runs. The second match between Australia and Bangladesh was abandoned due to rain. Both the teams shared 1 point each. All right, on to our special series in the run-up to the budget. Tonight, we focus on the shipping sector. Now, among infrastructure development initiatives, port-led development is a key focus area for the Modi government. Along with the ambitious Sagarmala project, both could get their initial allocations in the upcoming budget.
Plans to set up 10 economic regions along 7,000-kilometer coastline and the Prime Minister's Sagarmala project, an attempt to connect coastal cities through rail, road, ports and airports. On Budget Day, the Finance Minister's announcements will be heard with much interest on what they mean for these 2 projects of the Modi government.
Actually receiving the Prime Minister's personal attention, and it is the way he has defined it, it's called Sagarmala, which is port-led development. Now that is those are the 3 words that define the entire Sagarmala approach. We've got a huge concept note which has been worked out. Recently, I got an in-principle approval from the Committee of Secretaries. Now I'm sort of looking into it and have to take it to the Cabinet and so on and so forth.
In the last 5 years, the private sector invested over 33,000 crore in major port projects awarded on PPP basis. As part of the port-led development program of Modi government, Jaitley proposed 16 new projects under PPP mode. But so far, no project has been started. Industry is concerned about the delay in initiating these crucial schemes.
On an average 2.5 years we are coming where the bidders are reacting on your project. At that point of time, in some of the cases, we are realizing that our project was not properly drafted, not properly planned.
Apart from delays, project approvals and implementation, the port sector also has a shortfall of skilled professionals. Indian port sector reportedly needs 5,000 skilled harbour and port engineers in next 10 years. But lack of policy framework has limited the scope of employment. Jaitley announced a policy to increase jobs at shipyards and ports, but even that hasn't taken off.
If that happens, my understanding, my gut feeling is that in 10 years, you will have to have minimum actually 5,000 port and harbour engineers in India required. We don't have that. We have barely 200 only ports and harbour engineers. I can tell you only 100 engineers we can do a detail engineering of ports, all aspects of ports. That's one thing.
A key announcement by Jaitley in his last budget speech related to shipbuilding.
A policy for encouraging the growth of Indian controlled tonnage will be formulated to ensure increase in
employment of Indian seafarers.
In the absence of a follow-up action and a comprehensive framework for the shipbuilding sector, the industry awaits more clarity on issues like taxes and import duties on shipbuilding sector. People working in shipping sector are expecting a clear-cut policy indications from Arun Jaitley's budget. They want the finance ministers to give them indications on the tax proposals and how the investors are encouraged in shipping sector. With camera person Smriti Ranjan, Rajkamal Rao, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now on to some international news. Greece and Eurozone nations have agreed to a deal to extend financial aid after bailout talks in Brussels. Eurozone finance ministers reached an agreement to extend Greece's financial rescue program by 4 months. In return for the extension, Greece has agreed to present an initial list of reform measures by Monday.
Ending days of acrimonious standoff, Eurozone finance ministers agreed in principle to extend Greece's financial rescue by 4 months. The agreement, which was in doubt much of this week, avoids Greece's catastrophic exit from the Eurozone.
The authorities have today expressed strong commitment to a broader and deeper structural reform process and gave their firm commitment to, with immediate effect, refrain from any rollback of measures and unilateral actions that would negatively impact fiscal targets, economic recovery or financial stability, which are the 3 key cornerstones of the program.
In return for the loan extension, Greece has agreed to present an initial list of reform measures by Monday. The Greek finance minister hailed the agreement as a first step on a long journey.
Today, we have found partners amongst those who, up until very recently, looked at us with suspicion. There are some partners still that are looking at us with suspicion. This is our challenge to win over their trust, and we intend to do this. This is only a very first step on a long journey, but long journeys have to commence with a step.
The new deal continues the terms of the November 2012 financial rescue that gave Greece money in exchange for tough reforms to the country's economy, including sharp tax hikes and budget cuts. The tough measures helped push Greek unemployment over 25%, which ultimately brought the new left-wing Syriza party to power last month. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Thousands of Russians marched in the capital Moscow today, disowning the protests at Kyiv's Independence Square, or the Maidan, last year. The protests that then had led to the ousting of a Russian-backed president and caused the rift between Ukraine and the West and Russia. In fact, marchers carried banners and signs that told the Americans specifically to get out of Ukraine. Organizers claim 20,000 participated in the Moscow march, which comes on the year anniversary of the deaths of more than 100 Ukrainian protesters in the streets of Kyiv. Post that uprising, more than 5,600 people have been killed in fighting. Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine, and relations between the West and Russia have now fallen to Cold War-era lows. And Devil's Cave, meanwhile, residents emerged from houses and cellars where they had been seeking shelter for days from grim crossfire that raged on the streets. The town has seen some of the worst fighting in the conflict recently. Rebels have control of the town as government troops retreated after days of fierce fighting. Meanwhile, Britain has once again threatened Russia with sanctions if the ceasefire did not hold in eastern Ukraine.
What we need to do now is to deliver the strongest possible message to Putin and to Russia that what has happened is unacceptable, that these ceasefires need to hold, and if they don't, there will be more consequences, more sanctions, more measures. The truth here is that we have to be clear that we're prepared to do this for the long term.
Well, that's the news tonight. But before we end, we leave you with a visual of an unusual political bonhomie in Uttar Pradesh, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared a rare moment on stage, flanked by Lalu Prasad, RJD chief, and Samajwadi Party chief Mulayam Singh Yadav. The Prime Minister was invited at Mulayam's grandnephew's wedding, where the 3 of them were seen sharing like moments.